Here we go. Hi, it's Mark Owen from Moose Marketing and PR, the editor of Punchline magazine, and welcome to Punchline Talks Business Breakfast Briefers. Each week I invite a panel of business experts to review the morning newspapers, find out what's happened in their own individual businesses and their own individual business sectors, and finally what's caught the eye in this week's Punchline. But before I start, I just want to thank our fantastic sponsors, Hazelwood's Accountants and Business Advisors, and we really couldn't do the show without them, or any of our sponsors or advertisers, but a big thanks to them. Okay, let's meet the panel today. We've got Chris Pockett, he's the head of communications at Renishaw. The engineering giant is Gloucestershire's largest private owner-employer with a turnover of 690.3 million, employing 2,600 people across 4 sites in the county. So we know that the national insurance contribution is going to add around £4 million to the cost of business, but we'll find out how it's going and what's happening next at Renishaw. Always an exciting story to tell there. We've got David Oldfield. He's the managing director and owner of Blue Sky Signs. The company has grown rapidly over the last couple of years, specialising in all sites of signage, print, vehicle graphics, also printing all of the Punchline stuff as well, branded clothing, all our recycling mobile bins. So thanks ever so much for that support, David. And he's also very busy at this period with exhibitions. So we'll find out how his company is going, what's happening next. We got William Lee, director and co-owner of Holy Gelato Ice Cream and Milk based in Elmore Farm. Last year, the company took a massive punt, invested £60,000 in having a unit at Gloucester Food Dock. So we'll find out how it's going and hopefully the lessons learned along the way as well. Very popular venue down at the Food Dock there as well. So welcome, Will. And finally, last but not least, we got Hayden Hunter, Chief Tea Officer at Drift Tea. Hayden's just launched Britain's new hard iced tea brand. Low calorie, no added sugar product. So we're going to find out how it's all going, lessons learned along the way. And he's also been around all over the place. If everybody's got their cans there, we're going to do a live tester as well. And we'll find out what Chris thinks about it too. Okay, everybody, thanks ever so much for that. Looking forward to this. Okay, courtesy of the Sky News today. Let's have a look at the headlines. We've got The Sun, Bruno mid-air health drama. I really hope he's okay. He's a lovely chap when I met him. The Times, UK send massive message to Putin about deterrence. The Mirror, confession. Norris finally admits he was there the night Lawrence died. The Daily Mail, council tax soars to a record high. The Guardian, Miliband Tories betrayed next generation on energy. The Eye, Starmer threatens Putin with severe consequences if Russian attacks UK peacekeepers. I don't know how he's going to do that, but we'll have to find out very shortly. The Daily Telegraph, growth forecast half in blow to PM. That's not a big surprise. The Metro, police target top 100. The Financial Times, Starmer has change of heart and plan for boots on the ground in Ukraine. And the Daily Star, triggers broom the truth. 70 new heads, 40 new handles, and yes, it's still the same old crash. Don't you just love the Daily Star? All the problems in the world. I'm going to start with you today, Chris. And no, it's not making the headlines because, obviously the papers are a bit behind. But let's talk Heathrow. What's happening there?
Yeah, well, the stories broke within the last couple of hours. Fire in an electricity substation within the Heathrow area has affected thousands of homes in West London, sort of Hounslow area, but also it's taken out Heathrow as well. I believe the latest I was hearing before I came on was it's closed until midnight tonight. Makes you realise quite how vulnerable our infrastructure is and some of our key assets. It's one of the busiest airports in the world. Obviously, you've got stories already of flights that are on the way to Heathrow that turned around, going back to destination. I think there's an Air India flight from Delhi that turned around. It's going to be absolute chaos in the skies. These planes are going to end up all over Europe. Given how busy Heathrow is, then I'm sure Gatwick will pick up some of the flights, but it certainly won't pick them all up. I'm sure Frankfurt, probably Charles de Gaulle, and various other airports across Europe will have to pick up the loose ends. So yeah, it's slightly troubling, isn't it, that a fire in a substation could take out such a lot of infrastructure.
And it does start the old conspiracy theorists start tweeting away as well. Which, let's be honest about it, with what's happened with Russia, what's happened in Ukraine, Starmer's stance with Russia at the moment, you could see why that might make the headlines really, and why people might be even more worried.
Yeah, no, of course, and I think a number of us were probably thinking that way this morning as one possibility, given the situation that we're in geopolitically at the moment.
Okay, well, let's go to the stories. And what have you picked out for us, Chris? Thanks for covering
Yeah.
that for us.
So I've gone with a story in the Eye this morning. This is a story about the co-founder of Skype. Skype has been retired by Microsoft. That was a story that broke last month. Many of us use Skype extensively over the years. So this is about, you'll have to excuse the pronunciation, but it's Harti Heinle is my best attempt. So he was a co-founder, Estonian co-founder of Skype in 2003, sold out to eBay in 2005, became a certainly multi-millionaire, hundreds of millions, actually, almost $1 billion, I think he made out of that sale. But now he's very much back. He hasn't rested on his laurels. He's not on the beach in the Maldives, and he's some years ago started up a new company called Starship Technologies. And with its purpose is to make grocery delivery cheaper for consumers on a global basis. Basically, he's running a fleet, or his company, Starship Technologies, are running a fleet currently of 2,000 robots, which basically deliver groceries from retailers to straight to homes, using pavements. Generally, it would appear, rather than roads. And it's now landed in the UK. So the company is already starting to set up in Cambridge, Leeds, Milton Keynes, and Northampton. So not coming to Gloucestershire just yet. He's talked about one of the situations is the lack of consistency on regulations. Surprise, surprise, around the use of robots. And to be fair to local legislators, then it's quite a new technology and a new issue to deal with. But he's basically having to deal with all local councils with the relevant cities to individually get the green light from them. But they've already started out in Cambridge, and they've signed a deal with the Co-op supermarket to operate in Cambridge and some of the other cities already mentioned. So a really interesting development. It's been talked about for some time. I think, a few years ago, we were talking about Amazon having sort of little drones delivering things. We haven't seen that. But this is actually happening. It's already happening globally, and it's now in the UK. So I thought that was a pretty interesting development. And the other thing from a business perspective, and potentially jobs in the UK, there is a plan to invest tens of millions into a production plant in the UK. So, a positive story, interesting from a technology perspective, but also positive from an economic perspective as well.
Okay, thanks so much for that, Chris. Really appreciate that as well. Okay, let's go to you, Dave. What have you picked out from the papers for us today?
My story is from the Guardian, which is basically about the German boost to spending on defence and infrastructure. There's a chap called Lars Klingbeil, who we've got to remember his name because it's going to come up a lot over the next few months. And he's basically been like the pivotal player in the new German government, which has helped with an agreement to inject this 500 billion into their economy and infrastructure, which, as we've all seen from the news this morning, we could probably do with a fairly decent injection into our infrastructure as well, based on what's happening with Heathrow. But they've basically taken and they've actually outwardly said they're taking the stance of whatever it takes when it comes to defence spending, which is an interesting stance, which has obviously been brought about by Trump basically saying that he's out on his own. He's not as keen on supporting Europe as he was, etc. And obviously thinks he can do it all himself. Germany have basically stepped up to the plate. And I think reading between the lines on this story, it sounds very much like France and the UK will be not far behind them as well. It's a bit of a slightly contentious issue in the fact that obviously 500 billion, it's fantastic that they're leading the way in regards to defence, but also they've got to accept that that's going to affect generations to come too. But it's obviously necessary right now based on what's happening in Ukraine. So yeah, so I mean, it's an interesting stance for them to take. They've just got a new government involved. But it sounds like, I mean, even their Green Party has voted this through. So all of their parties have basically shown leadership in this, which is unusual, I guess, really, but it shows how important it is.
Well, without shadow of doubt, of course, the reason that Germany didn't spend the money on defence is because all the stuff in the first and second World War, they were allocated not to, or not allocated, but they were told not to spend the money on defence. But with Trump doing what he's doing, they've obviously had a change of heart and voted this through. No, very good, interesting story that could affect us all and the manufacturing of arms right across Europe. Thanks for that, David. I'm going to go over to you, Hayden. What have you picked out from the papers? And welcome to the show, by the way.
Thank you. Great to be here. I think my first one is about the eco tax that's being placed on pub and restaurants. So effectively, I think from what I've read, there's going to be a kind of a charge put onto the businesses for recycling rather than obviously other people taking the cost. So some pretty huge pub and restaurants have written to the environment secretary, sorry, basically calling it a nonsensical tax. So Stonegate, Fuller's, ZZ and Ask have all written to the Environment Secretary to try and get this abolished, basically. And also Domino's Pizza have made a comment saying it will lead to huge increases. I mean, in terms of glass, it's going to add about 12p to a bottle of wine and 6p to a bottle of beer. When they're working on the huge scales they are, it's pretty huge. And they reckon it'd be about £2,000 added annually, which could really, impact an already suffering hospitality sector. So not great. We'll see what they do. My other one was an interesting point about, I guess, employment. An individual at HM Revenue and Customs has been awarded £25,000 in a harassment case because she said she didn't want her details, especially her birthday, on the system, and was sent a birthday card. So she was awarded £20,000 for injury to feelings, as well as another £5,000 for general compensation, which I found bizarre, interesting, but also a note to maybe businesses out there, they should be careful on their employees' information and what they do with it.
Was it her age? Was it her age, Hayden, that she didn't want to?
Well, you would assume that, wouldn't you? But I don't. She didn't say why she didn't want her details on the system. I guess maybe that wasn't her point. But she did. It is noted that it was a special birthday. So whether that meant that she was old or young, I'm not sure, or maybe she just wanted her information private. Who knows? And then my final piece is from the Sun, and is actually about. It's a bit of a fun one. It's two RAF individuals have been accused of stealing the front half of a Paddington Bear statue. I hadn't heard anything about this, but it's very interesting. And my favourite bit about it is the public have gone and laid marmalade sandwiches and jars of marmalade and poems at where the front half of the Paddington statue was. I just find it quite comical. There we go. Yeah, I found it quite comical.
They've just left this. As an ex-squaddy myself, I can see they're going to be in serious trouble. Serious trouble.
I want to know why they did it as well.
Well, probably a hard cut. That's probably why. I've got in my. I hate to say this. In my garage here, I've got a sign for Wallington High Street that I acquired over 40 years ago. Can't remember how I acquired it. I just acquired it and I've loaded it around in all the different houses I've ever been in. That's all I'm going to say. I have thought about giving it back, but anyway, moving swiftly on. Thanks for that, Hayden. Great bunch of stories. Will, great to see you again, mate. What have you picked out for us, please?
So I've got a story in the Times about schools across Europe looking to ban smartphone use among their students. So Austria is looking to impose a nationwide ban. I think Hungary, Latvia, the Netherlands have kind of followed a similar vein. France, Spain looking at similar measures. I know there have been trials in London boroughs, a couple of London boroughs looking at sort of doing this. For me, it just seems kind of an obvious one. Like you go to school to learn, you go to school to apply yourself to the curriculum. And I think, I mean, technology has a place in so many different areas of life, but when you're in the schoolroom, your undivided attention ultimately should probably be on the teacher and the curriculum that you're learning. So, I mean, I just can't help but look at this and think this is a common sense move, not only for the kind of concentration that you're going to be capturing when you're not on your phone in your lessons, but also the kind of the discipline that's going to give you then going into workplace and later life. I mean, we in our business we have instances where our staff do engage in personal phone use at work, and that can be frustrating because ultimately they are things that people gravitate towards during quiet periods or lulls or whatever. So I think ultimately if you eradicate the sort of addiction and the pattern of behavior of using phones when you ought not to be, you're going to be creating a discipline that's hopefully going to kind of carry on through your stages in education and then into work as well. So yeah, I just thought that was an interesting one. I'd like to see that kind of tried out more over here. And I know we've got friends and family who are school teachers, and they speak of it as a bit of a plague on the classroom dynamics. So yeah, I think it'd be an interesting one to see how that kind of develops.
I totally agree. I mean, having mobile phones in work is always a problem, isn't it? Let's be honest about if you're the boss, trying to keep young people off going onto their phones when there's a quiet period, it's really difficult. Really, really difficult. I mean, you employ quite a few young people, don't you, Will, in your shop?
Yeah, we do. Yeah, I mean, no, it's not like we want to kind of ever be sort of heavy-handed and brutish about it, but ultimately the principle should be if you're at work, you are at work, and obviously everyone's got the odd message here and there that they want to check in on, but ultimately when that, I mean, I'm not just speaking about our business alone. We know of other business users who have similar issues. It's just you got to think it's got to start from sort of habits that have developed in previous instances in schools and whatnot. So I think ultimately there's a bit of a pattern of behavior there that probably needs sort of unpicking a bit or rowing back a bit. So
Okay, all right. Well, thanks ever so much for that. I can see where you're coming from. The schools should sort it out. The parents should sort it out, really. Let's be honest
oh yeah,
about
I
it
mean,
before they get to the workplace.
well, it's not just a school. It's not just a school issue. It's got to start from the home as well. Ultimately, it's just what schools can do in a fairly simple measure to make a rule, put a boundary in place that can't be overstepped. So yeah,
So it's certainly happening in some schools. The school local to Renishaw, where my boys attend, called Catherine Lady Barclay School, they've had a ban in place for years.
yeah.
It's a disciplinary offence if you're caught with a phone in class. So, I think there probably are individual initiatives around the country anyway.
Oh, definitely. I think certain schools are going to be stronger on it than others, but also certain schools are going to be better at upholding those standards and rules among their pupils than others as well. So I mean, yeah, just more of it, I would say, more of it.
I think also this down to the parenting. Let's be honest about it. I mean, my daughter's a teacher. It's all about the parents, and if they don't discipline the school, they'll have a go at the school
Oh
for
yeah,
implementing the mobile phone ban.
yeah.
Thanks ever so much for that. Well, really, really strong point you come across. Chris, let's talk about Renishaw, please. Obviously, the company, is the biggest one in the county. How is the global markets affecting the company at the moment? You've got the war in Ukraine, you've got Trump and his tariffs, threatening tariffs on all of us. How's that affecting the likes of Renishaw and what's happening in the company?
Well, it's difficult to plan. I mean, I'm sure everyone on the call would say businesses like certainty. We need to know what environment we're going to work within, and then we adjust our business accordingly. And clearly, there's a pretty strong dynamic at the moment, and it's caused a lot of uncertainty for all sorts of businesses. There's no absolute direct impact at the moment, but we're keeping very much a close eye on tariffs and whether we are included within them. I mean, it's an interesting one, especially around the metals going into product, and it's not just the raw materials, potentially metals going into product as well. We do make a lot of products with metal in. The weights aren't necessarily that high, but that's something we're still looking at the moment. In terms of broader business, it's Dave's already mentioned defence. That's an area where there is investment, unfortunately or sadly, but we do supply into the defence sector. It's not a huge sector for us, but some of our products definitely end up in that sector. So there's a little bit of growth there. We're seeing more globally as well, because 95% of the business is export. It's probably worth making that point. So obviously we are impacted by dynamics far beyond these shores. So the semiconductor market continues to improve for us, but not at the rates that perhaps we have seen coming out of COVID. Some of the growth it's been driven by AI, although with the new Chinese entrant into, I think, DeepSeek that was announced was it last month, which seemingly needs less processing power, so could have an impact on the need for such a heavy demand for chips within AI to power AI technology. So there's a lot of dynamics at place, but we've seen some growth there in the first 6 months of the year. Some of our other markets a little bit down. So it's as ever, it's a very mixed picture, and it's mixed geographically as well. Europe not as strong. The States has been pretty good. Most of our growth has been coming in Asia, where a lot of semiconductor markets are. We're looking, into sort of the consumer electronics market. That's been an important market for us for a number of years now. The amount of precision measurement that's required in the manufacture of things like smartphones, computers, etc. So that's helped our business. So we're expecting that to improve somewhat in the second half of our year. So our financial year is July to June year. But as ever, it's very mixed. But I think it's the uncertainty that's affecting
will you carry on
businesses. And even in the UK, clearly there's a lot of uncertainty as well.
Will you carry on recruiting the apprentices that you normally do? You sort of recruit over 100 every year. Is that still the case?
Yeah, I think we'll continue to recruit, but clearly the NI impact is significant for Renishaw. You mentioned earlier, it's 4 million on an annualized basis, and that's an overnight. That's hit us like that. That's not been phased in. That's a hit from April next month. So clearly we've got to have a look at that in the context of the business, and people, like most businesses, the single biggest cost. So it's certainly by far it's a couple of 100 million a year for Renishaw, and it's something we have to look at. I mean, productivity. We've seen some steep rises in labour costs over the last couple of years. Coming out of COVID, there was a lot of the Great Resignation that everyone talked about. We lost quite a lot of people. The market became a lot more competitive, very hot. I mean, if you had the right skills, you could not quite name your price, but certainly salary is very high in certain niches, especially around things like software engineers. Very much in demand from all sorts of sectors, and so that's put pressure on our cost base, and that's why our profitability is suffering a bit at the moment. I think we'll continue to take, but possibly not at the numbers that we have done. I mean, we've been taking grads and apprentices at very high numbers, as you're aware, for the last few years, around about 100 graduates a year, around 60, 70 apprentices, and then large numbers of industrial placements and summer placements as well. So I think it's almost inevitable that those numbers will reduce somewhat. But every year since 1979, since we first introduced apprenticeships, we've taken apprentices. Even in our downturn years, we've ring-fenced apprenticeships. So it's such important for the future lifeblood of our business. And I think, like a lot of businesses, there were a lot of businesses that curtailed their apprenticeship programs in the 1970s and 80s. It was very short-term thinking, and a lot of businesses suffered for all that. The sector suffered the lack of skills in the engineering manufacturing sector, because so many cut apprenticeship programs during those couple of decades, and they're right back now, rightfully. They're very important lifeblood, as I say, into the business. New thinking, new ideas, and so long answer, but yes, we will continue to take, we'll still continue our early careers programs.
Okay, thanks ever so much for that, Chris, and all the best there. 4 million quid on your bottom line out of nowhere. I mean, this is what the government's done. They've just taxed employers. Anybody employs anybody. Thanks ever so much. I get this all the time, by the way. Every single time we come on the show, the government's increase in national insurance has been such a weight on people. Let's go over to you, Dave. Thanks ever so much for joining us again. So, Dave, obviously, how's the company been going now? Blue Sky Science. It's been a number of years. I remember you started it.
Yeah, it's just coming up to 7 years. So yeah, it's.
And I knew you before, obviously, I used to deal with another print company. You started off doing print, and now how many people do you employ there at your office? Just by the road, near the railway station, isn't it?
That's right. Yeah. We're just on the Triangle. It's been a great location for us. We've got 11 in the team in total. We've got 7 full-time and 4 part-time. But yeah, we've been very, very lucky in the fact that we've kind of grown year on year. But we're sort of, apart from myself, we're a young team. So we're fairly sort of dynamic, and we're trying to stay on the forefront of things, really. There's a lot of new technology in our industry, not a lot of new types of finishes and things like that when it comes to signage. So yeah, we're trying to kind of lead the way as much as we can.
And obviously, you've got to invest in the company time. I know the vehicle graphics really big for you as well, haven't they?
Yeah, vehicle graphics have been great for us. It's an interesting one because a lot of sign companies, I would say generally around the UK, it's quite a specialist one. A lot of sign companies tend to do some basic design. They outsource an awful lot of things, and more we've tried to do as much as we can in regards to what we produce in-house. So vehicle graphics, we've produced in-house since the start, but the level that we've gone to now, where we're doing full wraps, literally, we some companies will go to the detail of they'll put a wrap on an existing vehicle. We take out the lights, take off the bumpers, take it all apart, because you get a much better quality vehicle wrap, and it lasts so much longer. So yeah, and there's new products like PVC-free materials and things like that, which are great if we're proposing to wrap like electric vehicles and things. So like I say, there's new materials coming out all the time, so much greener than it was as well. So from our point of view, the industry as a whole is not great for the environment, but we're very proud to say that we're zero to landfill. We do that through Print Waste, one of our partners. So nothing goes to landfill at all. Everything's recycled or turned into energy, which is great, because from the sort of day one of me wanting to start, I wanted to make sure the environment was sort of high on the list of our priorities, and we've made that so solar panels and things like that. So yeah, it's been really important.
And last thing, Dave, obviously the exhibition market at the moment is very big for you as well. Is there anything new, coming on stream on that front? Obviously, I've got my little pop-ups and the banners here, and you have the tents. Is there anything new coming along the tracks? Quite exciting.
Yeah, we've been doing quite. There's lots of sort of traditional pop-ups and things like that which people like to go to. But the main thing when you're doing an exhibition is making it easy to get it to site and put it up quickly. Once it's up, if you've got a big display wall, it'll stay in place. But some of the old systems were quite clumpy. You'd had big wheeled cases and things like that. The new systems that we've got, they're tubular frames, they're lightweight, they're aluminium, stretch graphics over the top that you can, if they get dirty on site, you can take them home, put them in the washing machine, even through to full illuminated walls. We've just done a 6 meter wide wall for someone and 3 meter wide walls. And again, it's all material fronted. So aluminium frame, LED lights, really, really effective wall system. And of course, you can have it double-sided as well. So It means that you can change out graphics, keep the same frame, so it's cost effective. They fold down really small and light. So yeah, lots of new things out there. Signage wise, I mean, technology is absolutely amazing. We're talking with a company in China at the moment about some window graphics, believe it or not. That's a vinyl that's got LEDs, tiny little LEDs embedded into it, which we would put on as a normal window film, which you can still see through, so like a shop window. But you can actually play videos through these LEDs. So you could have mannequins in a window wearing clothes, and then you could have horses running past it in front of it in the window, for example, or any type of video that you want. But to create that kind of new interactive effect. So yeah, we're looking at the new technology at the moment and importing that.
Okay, fantastic, Dave. Congratulations as well. I know how hard you work. Okay, let's go over to you. Will, actually. Then we come to you, Hayden, because we're going to do the taste test. Will, obviously you go over there in the food dock. What's it been like? It must have been a big learning curve from having people driving past the farm, buying the odd ice cream and stuff. Suddenly you've got hundreds of people coming to your site every single day. That must have been a huge learning curve.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's been a big step for us. Obviously, like you say, coming away from kind of our rustic farm origins, which we still have, like we're still very proud of. But obviously, opening up in Gloucester Food Dock, as we've become a 7 day a week business, which we never were at the farm before. We were obviously very seasonal with our opening hours, whereas being open every day, being open sort of longer duration within the day as well, and just all the kind of the logistics and the management that comes with that. It's been a big learning curve. It's been very exciting to be part of. We've been open 18 months now. We opened in November 23, which would not have been no one's optimum
Yes.
time to open an ice cream business, but for us it was a deliberate choice just to try and kind of establish ourselves, get things going, sort of ready for the following sort of March, April, where it really starts to ramp up for us. We kind of sat through that first winter and thought, oh gosh, have we made the right decision? But we are such a seasonal business, but we do still tick along in the winter as well, which is comforting to know. But yeah, we obviously look forward to the sort of April to August peak. Yeah,
So
it's
how much ice cream do you currently sort of sell there at the food dock, if you don't mind, or
um,
together? Is there a
yeah.
particular flavour that does better than others?
We have 10 flavors on display at a given time. There's two or three flavors that are probably noticeably more sort of quicker sellers, kind of the salted caramels and the chocolates and the kind of our holy milk, sort of our classic flavor. It's not even vanilla, it's just a milk flavor. That's always very popular as well. So we kind of consider them kind of our top three. Yeah, in terms of output, so the onset of the food dock and the first year that we did, that yielded a 45% increase in our total production. Obviously, bearing in
Well,
mind that to that point we were kind of producing just for the farm sales. We supplied Gloucester Services. We supplied quite a good supply to Gloucester Services on both sides of their carriageway, and then a few farm shops. So to go from kind of that already sort of good level of production, creating the food dock created a 45% increase just on 1 year, which was, again, when you're opening up a new site and you're managing all the retail aspects, it's easy to forget that we are still producing it ourselves as well. So we're having to kind of manage the production increase as well. So it was kind of like a double whammy. But it's
yeah, I think people forget it's actual cows here we're talking about as well.
yeah, exactly.
Milking the cows.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the things that I mean, when you come to the farm, the visuals, the aesthetics, it speaks farming. It's obviously you see the cows, you see the parlor, you see where it all happens. Whereas the food dock, I think one thing we're learning and we've tried to do, and we've got more to do in this area, but we're trying to kind of link back to that sort of origin of the story. Kind of having our branding and our aesthetic obviously point back to the farming story, which is obviously critical for us. It's not something we never want to shy away from. So yeah, it's there's been a few people that have come in and said, "Oh, where'd you buy your ice cream from?" And it's like, well, we don't buy it, we make it, and we bring it along. It's wanting people to know the kind of the whole story. But the two sites complement each other very well. I mean, they're 5 or 6 miles apart, but really they're very different, but also they're also similar enough as well to be kind of, yeah, they work very well in tandem, I think. So yeah, we're very pleased with how it's gone.
What would you say is the biggest lessons you've learned?
Oh gosh, biggest lesson. Oh gosh, that's a question. There's been a few. I think probably the biggest lesson is to kind of lead with the main part of your story. We've got, I think we've still got more to go in this area, but we've got cow pictures in the unit. And I think we know as staff and as owners, we know that there are cows, but it's to any member of the public coming in, they could think, well, they're just any old cows. They could be just representative of a dairy farm. So I think we want to do more, and we are doing more to try and create that link between producers of milk with them producing gelato from that milk. So I think that's the lesson that we've learned, are learning, we want to do more of as well.
Okay, thanks for research. Maybe there's a chat today about some moving signage, whether it's a stock print for another day. Anyway, let's go over to you, Hayden. Hayden, great to have you on the show as well, mate. So I've got your drink here. I know you've. So can you just explain to everybody, please, what drift tea is? And we've all got a can here. Dave, you've got your can, and Will, look at that. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I can take you through it. It's effectively what I'm trying to do with Drifty is create a line of drinks that effectively. Oh, sorry, I'm hearing some feedback. Sorry, I could hear myself then. It proper threw me off. It's basically lower calorie. It's for a market that I definitely thought was underserved. My target market is kind of 18 to 30, and it's effectively a lighter alcoholic drink to basically rival the seltzers, which is basically alcoholic sparkling water if you haven't tried it. The reason why I think it's an underserved gap in the market is because I think there's a huge shift in how we purchase all of our goods, and especially in kind of the 18 to 30-year-old range. We're seeing that people are making decisions like removing alcohol from their life, not drinking. And the biggest reason why people are doing that is for health and fitness reasons. And I think kind of 60 to 80% of 18 to 30-year-olds said when they're buying alcohol, they look at the calories first. So it's a huge issue that I think younger drinkers are having. And then you see these shifts in behavior for the younger market. I feel like seltzers are pretty much the only option in what I was led to when I was looking for stuff that, I love a beer, but they can be quite heavy. So Drifty is alcoholic hard iced tea. The hard stands for the alcohol. 99 calories, no added sugar. And I've been spending the last kind of 8 or 9 months perfecting what I have in my hands. And obviously I'm constantly trying to make it better. So any feedback is great. All feedback is good feedback. And I'm just figuring stuff out as I go, really.
Okay. I mean, you're quite new to a new entrepreneur as well. You used to anyway, let's all try and open the can then. We're not trying to open the can, let's open the can. Chris has already opened one yesterday because Renishaw's strict no alcohol policy. I can understand that entirely. We have a different policy here at Punchline. No, don't normally drink this early in the morning, mind you. So anyway, let's open one.
What did Chris think? What did you think, Chris?
Are you going to start with me?
Yeah.
Whilst you're all quaffing. So I'm not obviously in your target market, way north, double the top end of your target market. So not sure that how valid my view will be. But it's really interesting. I don't think I've tasted anything quite like it. I've had iced tea before, iced tea in the States. When I was drinking, I didn't think at first it tasted alcoholic. After the end of it, I did realize it was alcoholic. It's very authentic. It's clearly, I think it's organic, isn't it? It doesn't taste like a processed drink. And I was getting hints of ginger, interestingly enough, and I know there's no ginger in it probably, but I was getting hints of ginger. Now that's a flavour I quite like. My wife's from Asia, and we have a lot of ginger in our diet. And sometimes for illness, we have like a ginger, sort of hot ginger toddy. And so it's something I'm, really familiar with. So I don't know, but I was getting sort of hints
Yeah.
of ginger in it. And I
Yeah.
really enjoyed it. I actually have to say I did quite enjoy it. I'm from a generation that enjoys beer. I love my
Yeah.
summer IPAs and wine and whiskey as well. So as clearly not in your target market. But no, I thought it was very pleasant, and
Thank you.
but I could see it is quite different. So I'm
Yeah.
not sure it's necessarily to be for everyone's palate, but I certainly for me I enjoyed it. So congratulations on developing
you.
something quite different.
Yeah,
Dave?
and I mean, oh, sorry, carry on.
Yeah, go on, I'll go round to each. Dave, what do you think of it?
I'm absolutely gutted that it's this time in the morning and I can't finish it. I'll be honest with you. It's really nice,
Yeah.
Hayden. It is really nice.
Thank
But
you.
fresh. Yeah, I love. I mean, it's not something I would normally pick up, but I'm glad I've had this to sample because I definitely would now. Yeah, iced tea. I've had a few iced teas in the past, but yeah, the peach flavor on this. It tastes really light, really fresh. And you can kind of get a bit of a tang to know that there's some alcohol in there. But yeah, very, very good mix. It's clear that you spent a lot of time on this.
Thank you.
Well,
Thank you very much.
Well,
Yeah,
we're ready.
I mean, similar really. I've never had iced tea before, so I mean, starting out with a hard iced tea, all the better really. So I do see where Chris was coming from with the ginger actually, and like I quite like ginger as well. So I'm not like opposed to that. Even though
Yeah.
there's no ginger in there, I'm kind of getting that. So I think it tastes really good. I have gone through half the bottle already, so Dave, don't hold back if you want to finish yours. There'll be no judgment. But no, it's obviously our business. We kind of know what effort goes into creating a recipe, perfecting a recipe.
Yeah.
You're never fully satisfied because you always think you can do more. But I really commend you for what you've done and the passion that you brought to it, and also just like really appreciate you taking the time to get us these samples so we can taste them on camera. So yeah, thanks very much.
Yeah. Thanks for dropping. I mean, all
No,
the way
it's a
down to
pleasure.
Wootton Under Edge to drop off my can yesterday. Much appreciated.
Thank you.
It's
So
a pleasure.
the things you have to do to get your stuff out there, I just want to say as well, I really like it. They definitely hit ginger there. It's a shame you didn't give us 2 cans, so I could have one later on. That'd just be me. I would have given us 3 cans, but so I could have shared them with Friendly and spread the word a bit more. Hayden, with that, I think it's the ideal place to stop because we've run out of time for the show. We're miles over time. Thanks ever so much for coming out there and like Chris rightly said. Chris, what do you think of the branding, being a branding expert?
Oh, I wouldn't say I'm a branding expert. Look, I'm not a target market. I think it looks fine. It wasn't what I focused on though, to be honest.
Fair play, fair play. No, look, thanks ever so much for the show, guys. I just want to thank you to my wonderful guests, our wonderful sponsors, Hayden Accountants and Business Advisors, for everybody who's watched the show today. And remember, it's always in the punchline every week. I completely messed up this ending of the show, but then that's what happens if we have slice of alcohol this early. Anyway, okay, thank you very much. We'll be back again soon. Bye.